You're now listening to the 11:30 podcast. Enjoy the show.
I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. 11:30 podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Yeah. I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 11:30 podcast, Dre.
Yo, what it do, everybody, man? We back at it. What's good? Y'all already know what it is, man. It's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. Welcome back, you guys, to the 11:30 podcast. Yes, man, another episode edit, man. We back here. Appreciate everyone tapping back into the show. If you're new to the show, before we get into my amazing guests, and if you haven't done so already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Definitely do me a huge favor. Hit that like button down below, subscribe, follow, and definitely subscribe to the 11:30 podcast here on YouTube. You dig, man? But before we get into all the great stuff, I have an amazing guest that's tuning in, man. That's going to be joining here on the 11:30 podcast on this week's episode, man. Dennis Cruz, you guys, man, award-winning photographer, fashion. He's a model, man. We're gonna dive in all into this, man. You know, so he's a real great guy. We're gonna have him on the 11:30 podcast show this week. We ain't gonna waste no more time. We're gonna actually get into the great stuff and actually talk to the man himself. Dennis, how's it going?
It's great, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate it. How's your day going? How's life treating you?
Good. Just trying to survive in this crazy world.
Yeah, it is crazy world right now. Condolences to all the people, you know, over on the in Los Angeles and LA, you know, with the wildfires right now. So that is, you know, really unfortunate at times right now. And then here on the East Coast right here, it's so snowing, it's cold as I don't know what. So where are you from?
I was born in the Philippines, but
okay.
I lived in Canada pretty much most of my life. And I moved down to the States about 3 years ago when I got married to Tessa. She's from California, and we ended up settling in Boca Raton, Florida. So we're here.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, man. Real amazing story. Great guy having you here on the 11:30 podcast. Well, I like to allow my guests to take the stage, take the floor. You mind telling everyone about yourself?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm a really simple guy, I guess. I like to take photos. I think most people do. But I decided to make a career out of it. So I've been doing photos for about 10 years now. And I really love working with people. But I also love taking photos just by myself, walking around. I discovered photography, you know, after being in it for a few years, that it was really kind of like a meditative kind of thing for me, because, you know, mindfulness and meditation is all about being in the present, staying in the present. And it's like, there's nothing that can, you know, bring me into the present moment, like being engaged with what I'm taking a photo of, you know, being there in that moment and just taking in my surroundings and the time and how it feels to be there. So yeah, that's my message. I love photography. Everyone should do it. Yeah.
I dig it. You know, everybody, you know, sort of got like a cell phone, and you know, a couple of people take some, you know, some decent pictures now.
Absolutely.
But you know, you actually, you know, being award-winning photography, how this journey sort of began for you? What was it about, you know, taking pictures that was so, you know, I guess therapeutic for you in a way?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it didn't start off as like a therapeutic thing for me. I come from a graphic design background. When I was doing graphic design, I was working for a company that does sort of these hybrid fitness and fashion pageants. All right, so it's a mix of that. So I was always around really beautiful women. And, you know, I also did the magazine for that company. So I was always getting submissions in terms of photos to feature on the magazine. And so I always kept thinking, like, I can do this. This is cool. Like, I want to do this. And it took maybe 6 or 7 years for me to finally just get my first camera and start. What was advantageous for me is that I was already connected with all the people, right? So it's just a matter of saying, "Hey, I'm doing photos. You know, do you want to shoot with me to start?"
Yeah.
So that's how it started. But you know, I kind of got deeper into photography during the pandemic. At
Mm.
that time, I was living in Toronto, single by myself. So there's nothing to do there. It was totally locked down, nobody on the streets, almost nobody. And so I thought I would just grab my camera and walk around and take photos of something, anything. You know, I still remember I started doing that when it was still snowy and cold outside.
Yeah.
So, you know, the trees are all gray and stuff, and it's all slushy. So, not that great, but like I found that if, you know, light hits a certain thing, or the lighting is beautiful in a certain scene, it just can make anything ordinary become art.
Mm.
And so that's when I started, you know, finding kind of what I wanted to do in photography, really, or how I wanted to view photography. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because everyone views photography in a different way, right?
Okay.
And every photographer has a different, um, you know, aspect of photography that they gravitate towards. All right. So for me, it's really a part of it. A big part of it is um, just seeing beauty in the mundane things. You know what I mean?
I
So
got you.
yeah, it's cool. Photography for me, you know, versus graphic design, like my background. Graphic design is kind of like you have to create something from nothing, and photography you have to create something with what's already existing,
Okay.
right? And so, you know, it allows you to reframe things that you see into a different way,
Mm.
right? So it teaches you how to see different, and I thank photography for that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Were you kind of like into art, or growing up, basically, because you said your background is graphic design, and
Yeah.
not everybody is sort of great at art, and I think when people are great at art, whether it's drawing or designing stuff,
Mhm.
kind of like leads into that field though. So yeah, that was just a question. Yeah, were you kind of like good in like art or drawing, as a young kid?
I don't think I was great at drawing. I think that was too hard for me.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I had the patience. Like I wish I did, because I think
Okay.
I'm a far better photographer at this moment if I did. Um, but I was always creative. I think, you know, creativity and artistry don't stand alone by themselves. I think that comes from a certain type of intelligence, right?
Okay.
And so I think anyone can do it if you're intelligent. You know, you can do art. You can do art. It's just like learning a skill, right?
Mm.
You can get good at it. Yeah.
Okay. I
So that's
I got you.
yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. That's real dope, man. I like the whole, background story of getting in graphic design and taking pictures of just finding the beauty and stuff like that, though. I think that's really dope, though. You said in 2020 you really started getting into photography. You said you were single, lonely. Were you looking for your loved one? Were you looking for a wife at the time, though? You said you were lonely.
No, no, not at all. I mean, during the pandemic, I think everybody suffered with, you know, with that,
Yeah.
all right, just being locked in their own house. I don't know how it was. Are you in DC?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how it was over there, but Toronto was like completely locked down. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I lived by myself a lot. Like I'm very comfortable with being alone. I'm a
Okay.
total introvert in that way, right? So, you know, I love. I don't think I can't say the last time I was ever bored. You know what I mean? There's all there since the internet. There's always
Yeah.
something to learn. Like for me, my brain just needs constant information. It just loves to learn. It just loves to take in things. So yeah, that's how I dealt with like the pandemic. It's just like
Okay.
learn things, but also at that time, like I said with photography, I was out from the break of dawn, to get that beautiful, beautiful light, and I would just walk around the city until it got dark. I did that
Okay.
for
I,
for
I,
months and months.
oh, gotcha. How does photography make you feel and everything like that when taking pictures?
It depends on the situation. So if I'm, by myself taking photos of just, mundane, regular things, very meditative, right? But when I'm doing a fashion shoot where it's high energy and I'm getting just, stuff that I'm really proud to get, stuff that I feel like is unique and is really, um, exciting the person that I'm working with, right? Just them seeing the images that I'm coming up with, that gives me so much energy. That makes me feel like I feel like that's the best feeling. And so it's why,
Okay.
like, even if I'm having like, a hard time, I can't quit photography because of that feeling. It's amazing. Yeah.
Shoot. What was I just about to say? Oh wow, just slipped my mind because I was just about to ask you something. Oh, okay. Yeah. Was this was what was it that you wanted to be? Sort of growing up. I know photography and everything led you to this moment, though. But yeah, was this something that you always wanted to do, or just sort of life just
Yeah,
this was just it?
I just kind of took life one thing at a time. I was by myself a lot as a kid as
Yeah.
well, so I didn't really have a lot of guidance, which I wish I did. But yeah, I mean, I was always like creative and drawn to images, and so after high school, I did went to school for graphic design, and it just all started from there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Went to school for graphic design and stuff like that. So I definitely dig it. What keeps you motivated and inspired though?
Just love for my craft. You know, the reward I get for helping people. You know, some of the most rewarding things that I've experienced in my journey of photography in terms of working with people is that sometimes, I'm working with, say, just like a lady that's maybe 35, 40, 50. We'll do a fashion shoot and she'll look at the photos and start crying because in her mind that can't be her, right? Because
Mm,
this image is beautiful, but when she looks at herself in the mirror, she doesn't feel that way, which is really unfortunate because my photos are not, I didn't edit them in the camera or anything like that.
yeah.
That's how the person looks, but they just don't see that. And so yeah, I really have love to provide uh, value to people in that way,
Mhm.
and I think about photography as well, in terms of its value is preserving a moment that is fleeting. Like you'll never have that again. Who
Gotcha.
knows, right? Especially when it's like family photos. When's the next time your entire family is going to be, you know, happy and healthy and together? So important, so
Mhm.
important.
I,
So
I,
yeah.
I, de- I definitely like that. I wanted to say something though, from being
Mm.
in, photography. How does that make you feel that also you sort of have the, I'm trying to find a word, but you have the sort of will I guess to make someone's day or make someone feels something that they haven't felt before. When you just said, you took the picture of the young lady and she don't actually see that in herself, and you didn't do nothing but take great pictures, and you didn't even go back to editing or do any stuff like that. But yeah, how does that sort of makes you feel in the long run, what you do in your craft, though, that you could sort of make someone's day in a picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's humbling to me. I feel like it's great to be of service to people. Yeah, so I feel great reward in that, and also humbled that I can do that for someone.
Mhm. Okay. All right. All right. I definitely dig that. Definitely feel
Oh,
humbled in it.
I don't know what that was. Do you see that thumbs down thing?
No.
I don't know where that came from.
But yeah, I think it's very rewarding, for being like you said, a picture sort of worth 1,000 words, can really tell a story, though. But I really dig the journey, that you come from. You also met your wife, sort of doing this, though, right? Tessa, right? How was
Hmm.
that journey? You talked about being single for a while, and owning on your craft, and being in graphic design, and photo, um, photography for a while. How was it, meeting yeah, your wife?
Yeah, that was a funny story. So I met my wife at the end of 2021, just like beginning of December.
Okay.
So all the pandemic stuff was already done at that time. I mentioned earlier that I was working for a company that did fitness pageants, right? And so our last show of the year was in Atlantic City, and I was there, and she was one of the contestants. she So the day before, everyone kind of like convenes for what we called registration and sign in. Um, everybody flies in, to Atlantic City the day before, and
Okay.
the day before it was already probably almost midnight, maybe even past midnight. It was just after uh, my bosses and I had dinner, and this girl just comes walking through the hotel doors in the lobby, like looking all confused, you know.
Was it love at first sight, although she was looking confused?
Well, she didn't look at me at the time.
Okay.
I was checking her out though. I'm like, this girl looks so confused, but she's really cute. um, she tells the story a lot better than me, but she recognized the owners of um, the pageant and came up to them and talked to them for a little bit just to introduce herself, and then they introduced me to her, and we just ended up after that conversation there sharing an elevator ride up, and then so I put the moves on her, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I saw her the next day, and she was all by herself, right? So I kind of um, befriended her, just like so she didn't feel alone in a sea of people, because there's quite a
Yeah.
few people there, and yeah, we ended up just spending a night like after the show, just hanging out, drinking, and then she was like, I think you're my soulmate. We should get married. And I was like, okay.
I dig it. I definitely dig the story,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't gamble with money, but I really gamble with my choices in life.
Yeah, it seemed like it was more so love at first sight, though, too, when you guys met, though.
Yeah,
You said you she didn't look at you, but you definitely saw her. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that's a love at first sight moment too. And
Mhm.
Tessa was also, everybody was, was going to be a guest here, but she couldn't unfortunately make it. And I was going to ask her this question, and I sort of wanted to ask you as well, though.
Sure.
How did you sort of feel? Because she was in skydiving, right?
Yeah. So she at that time was a indoor skydiving instructor.
Okay,
Right.
indoor.
So
Okay,
yeah, she's just like awesome girl. She was a very high level instructor in the company. So
okay,
she taught other instructors. I think she was an L2 or whatever they call it. It's like the second highest. Um, and then so she would really, train military people to, before they actually jump out of a real plane and, parachute down to their mission. She would teach those people. So some of the guys that she was teaching how to fly were like 200, 250, 300 pounds sometimes with their
wow,
gear, right? So
yeah.
that's what she did. She also has like over 200 actual skydives from a plane. So she's very active. She's an adrenaline junkie for
Did she
sure.
ever? Did she ever get you to do it?
No, she wants me to though, and I think it'd be cool to experience something that like my wife is very passionate about. You
Yeah.
know, so that's on the bucket list for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I was just gonna ask you, would you be interested? But you said that's definitely on the bucket list, though.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, though.
Hmm. Hmm.
Real cool, real cool. Okay, you guys, man. We're gonna keep the show rolling on here on the 11:30 podcast show. Before we get into the hot seat, though, you also, in fashion, right? In fashion and do runways, right? How is that for you? And sort of was that sort of easy to sort of I guess dive into because being a photographer, taking pictures and everything like that. Sort of how was that journey of getting into.
Yeah, so the company that I was working for, they held live events on stage, and some of them were just like a theater style stage, and some of them were catwalks. So that's how I kind of got into it, just just thrown in there. But doing runway shows here in Miami is a totally different animal.
Mhm.
I used to be the only person taking photos on the runways, and got paid for it. And now when I go to runway shows in Miami, it's mostly I would say swimwear, but there's 5,000 photographers, all
Yeah.
trying to get into the center spot. So and nobody gets paid except maybe the house photographer, but that's it. So it's tough down here. I don't think it's worth it as much. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, I got you. I got you. I definitely like the story though. We're gonna keep the show, like I said, rolling on you guys, man. It's time for the 11:30 process. All right, all right. Dennis, I got 5 questions for you, and we're gonna roll with it. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, all right, all right. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, um, let's see, is just not being able to achieve my goals
Hmm.
or become a truly great photographer. That's my thing. Aside from like my family, being
Okay,
safe and then, yeah.
okay.
So that, yeah.
Okay. If you could collaborate with any person, to do photography or fashion with, who would it be?
Oh, I would definitely collaborate with Daniel Roseberry of Scaparelli right now.
Mm,
His stuff is just unreal. It's unbelievable. That is the epitome of art. It's just mind blowing. Mind blowing.
okay. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Question number 3. Where you see yourself at 1 year from now?
1 year from now, man, I really want to have my own studio. I
Okay.
really want to have my own
Most.
studio somewhere where I have, all my lights set up, all my equipment set up, somewhere that I can bring people into and create and execute my ideas, and just have a place to create nonstop. That's where
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Big question I like asking my guests. If
Mhm.
you had a warning label on you, what would it say?
I'm sorry.
If you had a warning label on you, what would it say?
Oh man, that's a good question. That caught me off guard. A warning label. I might fool you into believing in yourself.
Okay. You fool someone to believe. You said in themselves.
In themselves. Yeah, I might trick you,
Okay.
fool you,
Okay.
and into believing yourself. I think, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's good.
Keep
I
it
mean,
positive.
especially yeah, exactly,
Positive.
right?
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
if I don't have the ambition or drive that day, and you up here, yeah, hey, he just made me believe in myself. He just, hey,
Mhm.
hey, look here, I'm motivated now, so I definitely like it. Keep it positive though. Keep it
Yeah.
positive. Okay.
Yep.
Last question. If you could do anything in the world right now, what would it be? Or if you can, travel anywhere in the world, what would it be?
Oh man, so much I want to do. My brain is flooded all at once. So it's like I
I
would
know
just
it's a
love.
lot.
I would just love. I think I would love to go back home to the Philippines for a little bit. Yeah, I would feel nice
Oh,
there.
do you go back often?
The last time I went was just before COVID.
Okay,
Just before
it's been
COVID
a while.
happened. Yeah, so it's been a while, but it was such a great trip. I was there for about a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Do you get to stay longer, or just a month was sort of the time limit that you had?
I would have stayed longer, but I had to go back to work. So
Okay.
it was nice to spend time with my family and see my country again after 20 years, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I really dig it, man. Definitely dig it. Dennis Cruz, award-winning photography and graphic design. I appreciate you stopping by here on the 11:30
Thank you, man.
podcast. Katrina is always amazing. Hooking me up with amazing guests. Most of them been music artists or in acting and
Hmm.
stuff. So this was the
Yeah.
first in photography and in fashion and stuff. So I really dig it, though. But before you go, you have any questions? Anything you would like to say?
Well, I think we should set up something with Tessa alone for you to interview. She
Yeah.
has she has an amazing story. I'm a lot
Okay.
more boring compared to her. But she would be a great guest. She has a lot of things to say. She has important messages for people. But yeah, that's
Okay.
about it.
Okay, cool. We definitely got to get Tessa here on the 11:30 podcast show. But once again, Dennis, this was an amazing time having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. Everyone who's listening, definitely make sure you hit the like button down below, subscribe. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back and wrap up the show. You're listening and you're watching to the 11:30 podcast.
Still young grown, but you grown. The fact that this man's over here saying, I don't know the history of this story or whatever, but it looks like
It don't
dude's
matter.
like, listen, bro, you supposed to pay your rent. And this
Period.
motherfucker got a song and a dance, why he can't, what he got. Nobody give a fuck.
Don't
That's
give
what
a
we're
fuck.
just talking about. Don't nobody care about your problems and all your reasons and excuses, how valid they are. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have responsibility. If you
Responsibility,
don't
period.
take care of your shit, then you don't
You don't
have
get to keep
shit.
your shit.
It's that simple. But these motherfuckers nowadays think that they can fucking come up with a damn reason and excuse that the whole planet's supposed to understand. You got to get Trump as president. Now I can't go to school. Fuck you, bro. And you better go sit on your ass.
You gotta go do something.
Do something. And then the fact that the dude is saying, just like Harley just said, the dude is saying something. Hey, I got my shit together, and then this motherfucker, then he still got something to say. Oh, but you can lose all that though. It could just be one. What?
That has nothing to do with nothing.
Fucking crazy, bro. I'm so sick and tired of entitlement. The entitlement of the unentitled is fucking rampant, bro.
What?
Rampant.
Friday tomorrow, first of the month. You ain't gotta worry about catching no dog. You ain't got no rent. Your ass ain't in school. You better worry about a dog catching you. My 9-year-old got something to do in this bitch. Like, no, everybody got something to do in this motherfucker. Everybody got something. I don't care how long you stay in this motherfucker. You gonna have something to do. That's why there is never a time in this life where you don't have something to do in this house. Now I can't speak to else house, but that's where that entitlement comes from. I'm not saying it's all on mama, because mama got, and eventually they got to make their own decision. But a lot of this stems from you looking at kids and be like, oh, they just a kid right now. No, you got to understand, from the time you are alive and you are aware of your limbs, you got something to do. If you 3 blocks or something,
come on, sis.
Every fucking step of your life, you got something to do. So when we're not even having this conversation.
DC is unique. We match other world-class cities pound for pound in dining, nightlife, arts, culture, theater, sports, outdoor activities, green spaces, and the list goes on and on. But nowhere else can compete with our monuments, our museums, and memorials. And no other city has as many free things to do. Add it all up, and DC's diversity of experiences is truly unmatched. There's only one DC.
Yo, we back here on the 1130 podcast show. Yo, appreciate everyone sticking with me throughout the break, man. I gotta make a run. Had to throw on my hoodie, man. It's snowing. Make a little store run, man. But you guys, man, I appreciate everyone tuning in to this episode. Episode 215 of the 1130 podcast, man. I thank you guys a lot, man. Dennis Cruz, man, really great guy for coming through here on the 1130 podcast. We were supposed to have Tessa. I hope I'm saying her name right. Tessa, I believe. Yeah, Tessa. I'm sorry. Here on the 1130 podcast, but she was unable to make it. But we had Dennis, you guys, award-winning photographer. Really great conversation here on this week's episode of the podcast show, man. We got 2 episodes this week, man. Another episode, you guys, AJ Herbert, man. Man, it's gonna be really great. The motorcyclist behind the drawings, man, and the paintings entrepreneur. That's gonna come out Friday. But you guys, man, yo, what an episode this have been. Once again, Dennis Cruz, thank you for coming through here on the 1130 podcast. And once again, shout out to Katrina for the amazing guests. But you guys, man, we gonna move on here on the 1130 podcast show. Before we roll on out of here, man, y'all already know what time it is. It's time for the WTF moment of the week, you guys. Yes. WTF moment of the week, man. And of course, man, this past week was Super Bowl week, right? This past Sunday, you had the Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, bruh. And of course, in the midst of all of that, we had the halftime show, man, with Kendrick Lamar. And I hear a lot of reactions, man, on, yo, man, the performance was trash, or it's either people saying the performance is trash, or they really talking about Kendrick Lamar basically dissing Drake all over again. And man, when I saw the Super Bowl halftime show, I was like, yo, this WTF moment of the week, not because of the dissing of the Drake and the fact that he said say Drake and looked in the camera, and I was like I started laughing. I was like, that's the moment right there. I didn't even realize that was Serena Williams at the end, you know, doing a dance and everything. But I think, man, the WTF moment of the week was the details in the performance, man. I like how everything was black. I love how they created the American flag with all the black guys and basically saying, yo, this country is really built off of our backs and everything, man. And just so many subliminal messages that they really, that Kendrick Lamar put into the halftime show, man. I thought it was really dope, man. It was so much, it was so many, man. But that's what I really took out of it, though. The performance, was nice, but the halftime show, the details and everything of the guys, being the American flag, and it was like a jail yard or something like that. It was so many details, man. Check out this video real fast.
The halftime show wasn't supposed to be entertainment. It was a message laced with symbolism about our government and control. In the lyrics, the revolution about to be televised. Right time for the wrong guy. Kendrick warned the audience to pay close attention. Samuel L. Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam, a national personification of the United States, symbolizing our government and our military. Uncle Sam represents patriotism and national identity. But with Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, Kendrick was making a statement. He was telling his people to get ready. The division of the American flag highlighted the division in America. The Crips dressed in blue, the Bloods dressed in red. Together, they symbolized our country coming together in unity. The stars and the stripes were divided, illuminating the division in America. Serena Williams' hands shone, lifting the people up. This was more than just a halftime show.
WTF all the way, man, for real. The Kansas City Chiefs beat my Ravens to advance. Oh, was it the Bills that they beat? I think the Bills beat the Ravens, and then the Chiefs beat the Bills, and that's how they went on. Yeah, man. So, and then of course the Eagles, of course, beat the Commanders. Shout out to Commanders, man. They had one hell of a year for real to make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. No, that's hats off to them though. But yeah, I didn't expect the Kansas City Chiefs to get blown out like that. Blown out like that, boy. I was like, whoo, okay. The game was boring as hell though. But the halftime show, I felt like at some points the crowd was like real flat. And maybe because now I'm a big wrestling guy and I hear a lot of the wrestlers talk about when they go to the stadiums, that it's not as it would be in a arena. An arena, of course, it got a roof on it. It's sort of closed in, 20,000 people. They all surround you. Now, when you at a football stadium, and although what was it, the Caesars Superdome down in New Orleans or whatever, they had a roof on it, of course, though, but it's a different atmosphere. But of course, he played They Not Like Us. I feel like that obviously was the song to play. But yeah, man, when he looked in the camera and was like, "Say Drake," I was like, "Oh, yo, Kendrick Lamar is off the chain though." But yeah, man, WTF, man, WTF of the week, man. Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I couldn't believe that and how they did it and everything. And of course the halftime performance though. But you guys, man, what an episode this had been. I told you guys 2 episodes this week. Episode 216 is coming your way with AJ Herbert. Not only that, you guys, Beyond 1130 is back. Shout out to the crew, Harley, Brian B, and Charnel. We did our season 4 episode 1 premiere last Thursday. Check us out this Thursday, you guys, live on all social media platforms. And make sure you tune in, man. Beyond 1130 episode 2. The gang is back, man. I'm definitely digging it and loving it, man. We were talking about, grown folk talk, man. For real, grown folk talk. All right, you guys, man. I ain't gonna keep on rambling on. I'm about to hit on out of here, you guys, man. And I will see you guys on the next episode of the 1130 podcast show. For real, man. Yo, stay easy, be smooth. Give all the glory to God, man. Won't he do it? Yo, it's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels, and shout out to my guest Dennis Cruz for coming through here on this week's episode of the podcast show. But until next time, I'm out, you guys. Peace.